Hi everyone, this is La Contra. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be showing you how to draft this high-low ruffled crop top. Okay, so it's got beautiful dada ruffles at the neck line. Okay, and you can see it's a bit full. Although this is Ankara, if you want yours to fall into beautiful flare, you can use soft materials like crepe or chiffon, okay, to have that wavy effect. This top also has a band here, the band that has been cut on bias. Okay, if I turn this over to the wrong side, the lining, okay, you can see that demarcation here between the fabric and the band. Okay, you can see that high-low effect. Okay, it's like a crop top in front and it's quite low at the back. And then of course the back has no closure. Okay, the back is held together by these two bows here. I have one bow here and I have another bow here, and if I lose both of them, this is the back, no closure, and this is the inside, neatly lined, okay, to hide all this ruffle edge. Although if you have an overlocker, you could also overlock. So I'm going to be showing you how to draft. Let's begin. On the table here, I've marked the shoulder, chest line, waistline, and the hip line. It's not a fitted blouse, but I marked the waistline because it's a high-low. The waistline is going to dip from the front to the center back at the hip line. Okay, so I've marked across back measurement on the front and on the back as well. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to mark the neck width. I'm doing 5.5 for neck width. And for the neck depth, I'm doing about 4 inches. I'll draw that neckline with my French curve. Okay, I'm going to do the shoulder slants. That's 1 inch. I'll use my ruler to define that shoulder slant like so. The next thing, from the shoulder tip to the chest line, I'm going to measure and mark the midpoint. From the midpoint, I'm going to square in a line that is 3/4 of an inch long. Okay, this is to serve as a guide for me when I'm plotting the armhole later on. So on the chest line, I'll be doing quarter of bust circumference. Quarter of bust circumference is 30. The bust circumference is 33, so quarter of that is about 8.25. I'll go to the hip line. I'll do quarter of hip circumference. I'll take my ruler and connect chest line to hip line to draw that side line like so. Next up, I'll take my French curve and draw my armhole curve, starting from shoulder tip through the 3/4 of an inch line to the chest line where you have the bust circumference measurement, like that. So with that, I'm through with the front for now. I'll repeat the same process on the back. So I'm marking the neck width right now, which is 5.5. The neck depth is 2 inches. Shoulder slant 1 inch. Okay, so I've drawn out the shoulder slant and neck line. On the chest line from center back, I'm doing quarter of bust circumference on the chest line, and on the hip line, I'm measuring quarter of hip circumference just as I did in front. connect chest line to hip line to derive the side line like so. Next, I'm going to plot the armhole. You know how to do that. I'll measure the shoulder tip to the chest line. I'll mark the midpoint. From the midpoint, I'll be squaring a line that is 0.5 of an inch long. And then I'll draw the armhole curve. Like so. So I'm labeling them. This is the back and this is the front pattern. So I'm cutting out. Yep. So this is how they're going to look. You're going to measure the necklines right now. So I'm measuring the front neckline using my flexible ruler. You could use your tape measure as well. So you can see the front neckline, the total is 14, while the back neckline, the total is 13.5, although I'll just make that 14. So if I add front to back, that's 14 plus 14, 28 inches. I'm measuring this because of the ruffles, okay? I'm going to be gathering the ruffles using the neck circumference. So I'm doing about times 4 of 28 to be gathered back to 28 for the ruffles. Okay, next up, I've taped the front and back bodies together at the side seams. The reason why I'm doing this is because this crop top is a mullet, okay, and it's going to dip from the front waistline to the center back hip line, okay, from here. Now you could do a straight line, but I want mine to be slightly curved like an S shape. So I'll take my hip curve, okay. So I just want an S shape for mine. You could do any shape you want. You could do a straight line. You could do just one-way curve, but I just want my own curve, to have that sway in it. So that when the wearer is standing from the side, it cascades beautifully. So I'm going to blend the curve in the middle there. Yeah, I think this is good. So I'm going to slash through. I'm discarding this lower part. It's no longer needed. It's time to cut. Slashing. Almost there. Ta-da! So this is the shape the mullet is going to be taking. Okay. So I'm going to introduce slash lines on the front bodies from the neckline to the waistline. So I'll take my ruler. I'll draw one slash line here and another one here. If you want yours to be fuller, you could make the slash lines as much as 3 or 4, okay, but I'm just doing 2. So right now I'm slashing to the neck. If you want the upper part of the bodies to be fuller, you could slash through, but there's a ruffle, so I think it's pointless slashing through to have gathers or pleats there since the ruffle is going to cover it. So just slash to the neckline. Okay, be careful not to tear the paper while handling it. So I'll take the back bodies. The back has no closure, but it's going to have a seam allowance at the center back. So I'm doing 0.5 seam allowance. Okay, I've marked that. So it's time to spread the front. So I've drawn a guideline parallel to the side of the paper, which is representing the center front. So I'm going to align the center front of the pattern to this guideline. I'll tape it. So I'm going to be pivoting the pattern from there. Since I've taped it down, I'll be able to pivot and spread. So you can spread as wide as you want. It could be even, it could be uneven. Okay, so for this first dart leg, I'm spreading as wide as 6 inches, and the second dart leg I'm spreading as wide as 7 inches. You could do yours randomly. Okay, it depends on the amount of fabric you have. It also depends on the kind of look you're going for. If you want something very full, then you spread it very wide. Okay, and if you want something cool, you just do it cool. So now I've taped it down. The next thing is I'm going to redraw the hemline, okay, using my hip curve. So starting from 0 to 0. Okay, what I mean by 0 to 0, I started from the waistline at the center front. Okay, I'm discarding that little part, waistline, center front, down to the side. Okay, then place the back and the front together at the sides. Okay, so that you be sure that everything is well aligned, your mullet is in shape. Okay, because sometimes we make mistake, so it's good to work your patterns, place the front and back together so that you can monitor. So now I'm going to be measuring about 3 inches for the band. I'll do the same at the back as well, 3 inches. Okay, so right now I've marked 3 inches. I'm using my curve to reshape, okay, so that I'll have that curvy hemline. So this is the front band, but I'm not going to be cutting the band using this pattern. I'm going to be cutting the band as a rectangle, so I'll be discarding this. Please note, when you're cutting the band on a rectangle, cut on the bias. Okay, cut on the bias. So right now I've marked the back, but to be double sure, I'm going to place the back and the front together at the side. The reason why I'm working my patterns like this is so that the mullet, I want a smooth, even flow from the front to the back. So look at, place it that way. You see where the front meets the back? Just mark that point. Okay, mark that point, and then you can draw your curve. Okay, I'm just doing all these things to be double sure. So I expect you to do all these things to be double sure, because it's this little, this little effort you put into your pattern drafting and sewing that really makes the difference in the outcome of your garment. So I'll be discarding this part too. Okay, so I'm going to cut following the new hemline. Time slash. Okay, I'm discarding these. So this is how the front looks like now, and that's the back. Next thing, I'm going to measure the hemline on the front and multiply by 2. I'll do the same at the back, multiply by 2. Then I'll add the answer I got from the front to the one I got at the back. That is going to determine the length of the new band that I'll be cutting, the new rectangular band. But please note, this rectangular band should be cut on the bias, so you'll be able to ply it when you're fixing it to the hem. And you're cutting it on fold, okay, because it's folding underneath. Don't forget about the neckline too. You're going to be cutting a rectangular shape for the gathered ruffle at the neckline using the measurements I explained the other time. Okay, so I'm just placing front and back together again just to make sure everything is all good. So I'm satisfied with this. I like what I'm seeing. Okay, so yours should also look like this when you're done. So with this, I've come to the end of the video. Please like, share, subscribe, click on the notification bell. See you in the sewing video. I remain La Contra. Ciao.